Hey, can everyone see my slides? I'm hoping it is. Hey. Yes, great. Thank you very much for the confirmation. Okay, so I'm going to start. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone out there. My name is Shamini Donna, and I'm the founder and CEO of Donna Inc. We're based here in headquarters in Sausalito, California. We're certified B Corp since 2008. We've been around and we are some of the pioneers in the sustainable, ethical, and circular fashion for the last 13, 14 years. Joining me today is Sheldon Nicholson, who is our fashion designer for Donna Inc. And she's also part of the gig economy in the sense that she also works for Columbus Apparel Studio, CAS, and she is part of the team that actually does our cut, sew, and production as well in fulfilling orders and works with a team, which we'll get into it. And so today, before I start, I'd like to spend a little bit of time, as always, to give you some feedback as well as overview on what Donna Inc. is about. So Donna Inc. is a certified B Corp, and we have been around for the past 14 years, since 2008. It is the parent company, which is a fashion technology company whose mission is to unite humanity through fashion. We do this through our products, our services, and also our platform. And so in the recent years, and since 2017, we actually moved from a linear business model to a circular business model. And the circular business model is about extending the life of a garment as long as possible. And when we design something, we design it out of waste and pollution. All our collections today, what you will see in terms of our products, are what we call zero waste design. There is no waste, and in the event that when it comes down to scraps, those scraps are actually used for accessories, for artwork, for education, and also for our walls, as well as to be recycled into new fiber. So in 2021, end of last year, we introduced D-Sphere. D-Sphere is a creative fashion platform that's unlocking creativity through the personalization of fashion, leveraging second life materials as well as second life clothing. And D stands for digital fashion in the digital economy. Sphere is a symbolism of equality and equity in a shared economy where we are democratizing fashion so that everyone now gets to be part of the creation, the co-creation that takes into account of bringing something to life. And so we unleashed this so that it would become the people's platform to discover reimagination and creativity. And that's why our tagline for D-Sphere is called Fashion Recreated. This particular platform has just launched. It is for a direct-to-consumer as we are talking to you now. But to reach the millions and millions and thousands of people around the world, brands will have the opportunity to have access to this platform as well. So we are working with some designated and calling on brands who want access to repurposing clothing using the power of technology. So I will scroll down. And so why does D-Sphere actually exist? Why did we create something which we called D-Sphere? Because we fundamentally believe that humans seek creative expression. They seek this expression either to themselves experience it themselves, or to support another person artist, or for that matter, endorse, right? And why we decided that D-Sphere will be the choice is because we realized that the global textile waste was an issue, and we used that opportunity to unlock the human creative expression through the personalization of fashion using the second life materials versus going to virgin. And so D-Sphere is actually the what, right? It is the tool, the platform that is empowering people to design new fashion with existing fashion or existing materials and fabric and second life clothing. And so our core pillars when we launched D-Sphere as a creative fashion platform were the following. They were basically 5 principles that we had in mind, and it's part, again, that goes back to becoming a B Corp. We believe that the customers now needed a solution, and they could be the solution to climate change by reducing their environmental footprint, by engaging in the creation using second life materials, not virgin, right? We also believe that it is important, it is imperative, and it is our fundamental right to know who makes our clothing, right? And so we are giving the opportunity now for the customer to engage with the garment worker, thereby giving transparency, which this particular industry, the fashion and apparel industry, has been called to have avoid, right? And this is also an opportunity for customers to pay it forward, to share gratitude, and thereby closing the last mile, which is what this webinar is about. And we will go into that quite in detail. And then finally, we have digital tools for customers to actually design and play in the metaverse. We strongly believe that fashion actually is the new medium of storytelling. So let's take a moment and realize that every time you put a piece of clothing on yourself, every single day, you're actually making memories in them, either going to a place, traveling to a concert, a museum, being with somebody who you really care, celebrating their anniversary, birthdays, graduation. And so these are stories associated with the clothing that you wear. And so when you repurpose these clothings that have memories, it is an opportunity to storytell, thereby democratizing fashion. So if a customer can actually take these tools, take this clothing that they have in their wardrobe with memories attached and make new clothing, then it becomes a shared economy, a collaborative tool that we believe is the next frontier of fashion. And so we have said this, and we believe that we cannot do this alone. D-Sphere is all about co-creation. A garment does not come alive unless the actual customer is involved. So it's all part of co-creation where you design, you drive impact, and you celebrate fashion. And so if you can imagine the digitization technology currently on our D-Sphere platform, which we invite you to join and to discover, reimagine, one template can have a million possibilities. And so the future of fashion would possibly look alike, where every single person on this earth has a garment that they have created themselves or co-created that tells stories. It's such a valuable, and we think a priceless experience. And so if you look at each of our templates currently on D-Sphere, this is singly not the only thing that we'll be seeing going forward. We'll have many different templates because we just launched. We give the opportunity for the customer to envision how much of a global carbon footprint, as well as water savings and energy savings, they will potentially have co-creating on this platform, bringing second life materials to play to be able to create new fashion. So this is all available to the customer. And finally, what we like to think about is one action, right? by the customer can create so many different touch points that really impacts the world when it comes to sharing gratitude, having a personalized piece of garment to be the solution to climate change. You can have your own brand because you're digitizing your own pieces of clothing. You're saving on the environment, and the list goes on. But in the short of time, we're going to jump to today's discussion. And today's discussion is all about who made my clothes. In this photograph, you'll see some of the team members that actually make your garments or co-create your garments together with you on dSphere. And we are very transparent of our partnership with Columbus Apparel Studio, which is based here in the United States. And so all the clothing that is made is supporting jobs. It's also an opportunity to empower the less fortunate and also be able to connect these wonderful workers and hear from them firsthand what it means. Yeah. We believe that dSphere is actually going to be closing the last mile in the fashion industry by connecting people to our clothes as well as our garment workers. We really believe, if you take a step back, that these are real people behind your clothes. It is the hands and the hearts that need to be honored and also to be celebrated, right? So when you are in touch with people like these people, we believe that your garment now is humanized, right? You're humanizing a piece of creation that you all brought your creativity and as well as your imagination to come to bear. And so we realized that the contribution of each worker is integral to the outcome. Here are some of them other faces of garment workers we work with. And they're smiling. Why? Because they love their job. They're smiling because we believe that they're being honored. We appreciate the opportunity to lift the voices of workers, to share stories of their journey forgotten by many in making a piece of clothing. And so we like to get into the whole question of who made my clothes. And so this technology will bring forth a solution in the fashion industry that honors and values each human being in making a piece of clothing. We invite you to get on to dsphere.network and join us in this journey and be part of a movement that today is so lacking. And so one of the things we like to highlight now is behind the scenes, right? We have encouraged, because we just launched the platform, we requested and connected the customers who have completed their circular memory jackets, which is one of our offerings on dSphere. This is Greg and this is Vishal, and they both have the circular memory jacket. And so we asked them, what would you like to share with the garment workers who made your clothes? And Greg here on the left said, thank you for literally preserving my memories, being able to create a jacket out of my old tattered shirts. And this helps me to keep the memories alive, but not take up drawer space. Thanks for making a difference in the world and for my closet. This message was sent to the garment worker, right? Or the workers up to 4 or more. And they are connected online, right? Going forward on our platform. Vishal here, his wife actually made this jacket for Vishal, who is her husband. And it says, thank you for helping capture the early years of being a dad with the wonderful circular memory jacket you crafted with the tees my child wore in the first few years of his life. Every detail of the jacket is beautifully made and meticulously crafted. We love it so much. Now, whatever the cost of that jacket, the fact that she could use her baby clothes, their son's clothes, and put it into this jacket, those moments are priceless and captured in a piece of garment. Those moments are memories. And this is what we mean by we're wearing our world and we're wearing our memories through clothing. So it's a storytelling mechanism. And so on our dSphere platform, this is, you can go on to again and check it out. We have these 3 modules on dSphere. We have a store, we have a studio, and we have stories, right? These 3 modules serve different tasks or functionalities. And during the checkout, when you co-create, this is your circular fashion tee, you get to check a box here. Would you like to connect with the clothes maker or the garment worker? And you say yes. And that is registered, right? So we're giving you the right to do so. And once you do that, onto the platform here, right? When the clothes have been made, the cloth has been stitched, and this process can be pretty lengthy depending on which template you're using. You get onto the stories section, and what will happen is you'll see a whole bunch of stories like a feed over here. But what you can also see is your connection, right, to the garment worker, which will be coming. And so this particular connection will be in a private box first, where we will introduce you to and make the connection between you and the garment worker behind the scenes. And you'll be able to have a back and flow using this sort of what you call it, visual. Once both parties agree that they'd like to share more with the public, that too can be made, the postings can be made public, right? So you can share gratitudes. Here's the gratitude towards your garment worker by simply posting. You have the right to post, like, this is Greg, he's wearing his circular memory jacket, and he actually went skiing in it the other day. He's actually sent a video, and if you go online, you'll see the video hopefully being shared by Greg. Excuse me. And so this is a way that we're starting to see people honoring and people actually paying it forward. And there is so much more potential here, right? As you can imagine. Again, this is a schematic of what dSphere Stories looks like. This is a very simple way of looking at, if you were a person, you have your connections, you'll have your environmental footprint, and a whole bunch of notifications and messages going forward. Again, we are improving on the site. It is in beta, and we would love for you to get on and share with us more feedback. And so at this time, I'd like to call upon Sheldon Nicholson. And so Sheldon, are you there, Sheldon?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Sheldon, again, is our fashion designer at Donna Inc. And she also is working with Columbus Apparel Studios. So she represents both of us. And she's paid by both of us, so in full transparency. And so these questions were actually asked by one of our customers. So we not only asked them to share gratitude, but they have an opportunity to ask more questions, to learn about these garment workers. And these were some of the questions that was asked. And so I've invited Sheldon to address some of these. So how long did it take you to make this jacket, Sheldon?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the jacket. From complete start to finish, this is going to be about a 6 to 8 week process. So that includes, choosing all your memory items and shipping them to us, and us, getting them organized and getting them set in.
No, scusami, si fa...
So once those all get organized, and
if we can ask you to please mute yourself.
thank you. Okay,
Go ahead.
so we get all those organized at our factory, and we kind of put together the design that you wanted, and we lay out all the lining materials into the design. We will put that into cutting and put it with like materials to get them cut out.
Hello.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we'll get those organized into similar designs and get them all cut out together, and then that moves on to sewing. So generally there's about 2 people sewing one style. You'll have somebody sewing the interior lining with all the memory items, and you'll have somebody else sewing the outside of the jacket. After that, it goes into quality assurance. It gets checked to make sure everything's good, and it gets packed and labeled and shipped out. And that takes about 6 to 8 weeks.
Great. Okay, so let's do the next question from a customer. Do you have a chance to offer your own creativity in the creation of your circular memory jacket, of the circular memory jacket?
Yeah, so some people don't want to design their own on the website, and they like for us to kind of choose how it gets laid out. So this gives our cutters and everybody working on the jacket a chance to kind of have fun and be creative and design it the way they like, and, you know, take the 10 t-shirts that they got and decide where to put them and how to cut them and how to, you know, design them into a fun lining for the customer. So when you do that, it's always a surprise when they get to see it for the first time.
Yeah, that is actually really important, because on this platform, what Sheldon has just said, there's 3 different ways. You either do it yourself, you get to work with a fashion designer like Sheldon, or they actually send it directly to Sheldon and her team, and they get to be creative and surprise the customer. So wonderful opportunities. The third question by a customer is, do you get to feel the impact of your work and craft with the end customer?
Yeah, so with a lot of the D-Sphere Donna stuff, it's very transparent on, you know, who's working and who the customers are. So they're able to, you know, show us photos, give us feedback, tell us, you know, where they're wearing it, how, if they like it. So it's always nice to see that, you know, the people that bought the clothes really enjoy them, and, you know, get like a sense of validation for your work. And, you know, that makes it rewarding to know that it's being appreciated.
Yeah. And Sheldon, that's important, right? I mean, and do you think that this is something that you feel among your fashion designers and technical team and people in your industry that has been lacking in the?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. It's not something that's very common. So being able to see that is always a surprise, and most people aren't used to, you know, being able to see exactly who bought it and what they thought of it. So
great. Thank you, Sheldon. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So on that note, I want to just end by, before we open up to questions and answers, and please, if you have any questions, kindly place it on the chat box now. We are really looking forward to answering some of your questions as it relates to closing the last mile and making, you know, who's making your clothes. And so when it comes to uniting humanity through fashion, one of the core pillars and mandates is to honor and value a human being, is to acknowledge the uniqueness of each person's presence, contribution, and potential in every moment in time. It is important that you understand that when I said this, and included every moment in time, it is a reflection of how we as human beings take on different jobs, positions, roles, and responsibilities in our lives across the roadmap and the journey of life. And so honoring all those experiences, you know, along the way is important. it's also to acknowledge that no two fashion designers, no two garment workers are similar. We have uniqueness about us. And so it is really critical that each and every one of us are able to share how we see our contribution in the world, how we want to be able to pay it forward. And in fact, when it comes to all stakeholders, we all wear clothes, right? And so all of humanity has a story to tell about a piece of clothing that they put on themselves every single day. And so to be able to honor and value that piece of clothing and the hearts and the hands behind it is fundamentally not only a human right, but it is an opportunity as well as a privilege to use that moment in time to reflect on how it took not only resources, planetary resources, but human beings' efforts to bring a creative element into a piece of garment and then produce it in a way so that it has functionality, performance, and the essence of every single facet to make that experience come alive. So with that, I'd love to open the discussion up. Thank you again being here. We really, really are interested in your feedback, your questions, and let us know what you also want us to address going forward, because we will be having many webinars to come as part of the Donna D-Sphere webinar series. And we've had some wonderful, wonderful ideas about collaboration and bringing you as a customer on, as well as some other partners. And we have a whole ecosystem of partners that work with us. So Sheldon, do we have any questions? Oops, you're on mute.
Oh, my bad. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat and we'll read them out. Do you think that D-Sphere will encourage larger companies to be more transparent about the process in their garment making?
That is definitely our intent, because we do believe that it is not only to their best interest, but also to promote collaboration, partnerships between not only brands, but between brands and companies and customers, right? Let's face it, the more you show not only the hearts and the hands behind the piece of garment, it also does provide you a trust factor, right? The trust factor that, hey, you know, I'm actually talking to a real life person who made my clothes. It's not always going to be perfect, right? When you work on something, but if you realize that we're coming from a place of service, and this is our bread and butter, that trust factor actually increases, right? And so there's a lot of distrust in the world, and in the garment industry, in the fashion apparel industry, because we have seen so many garment workers being exploited. It's the #1 reason why I started the company, some 13, 14 years ago as an investment banker. I saw firsthand the exploitation of children in India, in the fashion industry, right? And so I vowed to change that. And after all this time, this is what we're doing. So I really do believe that it is a start, and we are hoping that we will inspire other big brands and just companies per se to connect with real life humans, so that we can not only fundamentally understand what it is that they do, but value it. The more you value something, right, the more you keep it, because not only you created it with us, we created it together. I hope that answers your question. Sheldon, do you think so?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question. This is a question for Sheldon. How did you get your position as a designer at the company? So I guess networking. Shamini and I met at the college I went to was hosting a event on sustainable design in the True Cost movie, which she had some part in producing, and I had met her there. And later, a few years later, we ended up working together on the Donna product and D-Sphere, and I got involved with all of that. When we were looking for a place to produce it, we came across Columbus Apparel. And when they were looking to hire new tech designers and people to help them out, they reached out to me. So I kind of just met them through, mutual projects and things that we were working on. The next question, in case I missed it, how do we get our kindly used t-shirts, blouses for you to make the jacket? Are there any materials or conditions not allowed?
You want to go ahead, Sheldon?
Sure. So you can use anything from your closet to use in our t-shirt or our jacket. You can upload them on D-Sphere, or you can choose from our material library. We do have materials on there that you can pick from. You can use pretty much anything in the jacket as long as it's, not see-through or has beading on it. For the t-shirt, we ask that you just use other t-shirts to create it. But you can use anything you have in your closet and upcycle them into our designs. Sure.
Great. Does anyone ever have any other questions? No? Okay, as we're waiting, I'll give it a few more minutes. We are going to be continuing this webinar series for the next few months. It's every 2 weeks again. Some of the topics coming up are the digital part of our D-Sphere platform and how we're empowering you to use the digital to play in the digital world. We will also be having a discussion on where we believe the next revolution or evolution of jobs will be coming about in the fashion world, which will propel a whole new level of understanding and opportunity. We truly believe that the metaverse, or what we would like to call the virtual world and the digital world, is going to be quite extraordinary in terms of opportunity for the next coming generation. And so if you want to be part of that world, do join us as well. And then later part in the webinar series, we want to be able to talk to you about how you can be your own personal brand using the digital platform on D-Sphere, right? Because this is all about co-creation. And especially if you're a fashion designer or a creative who has a lot of imagination and want to produce unique clothing, this is the platform you'd like to be on. And then finally, we will be having our global challenge art mention. It's going to be a challenge that we will be sending out and talking about by the end of this webinar series, so that you will have an opportunity to showcase yourself. It will be over the course of summer, but that will be at the end of our webinar series for this half of this year, which is in 2022. The webinar series will continue on in the fall and winter. We will have a break in summer unless there are very, very distinct needs to address questions here. If you are looking to be part of this movement, which is the D-Sphere Changemaker series, please get in touch with us at info@donna.com. We welcome you to join. We're looking for change makers in the creative world to be part of this next revolution. We will be sure to include you in our upcoming webinars, right? We're definitely looking for the next generation leaders.
Okay. So we have two more questions.
Great.
How has your experience been working for Donna Inc., Sheldon? So I've been here for about 3 years almost, and it's been great. One of the things I wanted to do when I got out of design school was to go into sustainability and be able to do sustainable design. So I've had the opportunity to do that and, work on with a company that values sustainability and ethical business practice. So that's good. And I also really enjoy being able to do things that are a little different, not just cut and sew, make typical ready to wear garments, but to be able to do something a little new and innovative.
Great.
Are your
And by the
products made
way, I
in-house
think
only?
Sheldon is a real good example of somebody who is both a creative, but loves to get her hands into, because we're a startup, right? And so she gets to wear all these multiple hats, which is giving her the opportunity in the future. And this is where I come in really strongly. My job as a leader and CEO is to propel more Sheldons of the world so that when I am no more, right? Or, when she set out to do her own thing, she has the where-all about what it takes to work in a community and collaboration to do the job that is going to be of service to humanity, to be the torch like her. So these are the next generation leaders that are like Sheldon that will change the world as well. So we need more people like that. So if you're interested in joining Sheldon and her team, contact us.
Thank you. So we have a couple more. Are your products only made in-house? Would you consider overseas production in an ethical, transparent factory when your brand gets bigger?
Sure, Karen, thank you so much for asking. So this is a great question. The answer is yes, yes, and yes. And how we mean by that is, let's face it, this technology will be able to be licensed out across the globe in every single continent. Because why? It is fundamentally being used for any creative customer in any part of the world, as long as they have a partner, which partners with us, right, in, say, a different continent, and has a cut and sew facility in that continent, right? So the name of the game here is to reduce carbon footprint as much as possible, right? So carbon footprint, water, as well as energy. So you can imagine if this particular technology, D-Sphere, exists in, say, Africa or India or Asia or even in Europe, right? Then the ecosystem there would be such that a partnership would be such that there will be a lot of cut and sew studios, and then they'll be utilizing all the second life materials in that continent, and then it will also be part of a brand. So you can imagine this being part of a brand's platform as well, because they already have production houses, they already have customers, and they have their own materials. All they need is the power of technology, and that's what we're looking for. Brands who really appreciate second life materials being repurposed, having their own templates and just using ours. So I hope that answers your question. So the answer is yes.
Okay. And there's one other one that says, have you considered ever using dead stock fabric in your products?
Okay, so we do use dead stock fabric in our products. That's all we use, right? Okay. So the meaning of dead stock is basically, some people call it second life, meaning it's sitting in a warehouse or it's an overstock. So for our circular memory jacket, the exterior is all made of dead stock fabric, right? And then the interior is what we call used clothing or second life materials.
The t-shirt as well.
Oh, and the t-shirt, yeah.
Yeah, also made of dead stock.
Exactly. Great, thank you, great questions. So again, Please join us on dsphere.network. We would love to see your digital designs posted. Remember, when you design something on dsphere, you can actually not immediately order it. It's free of charge. You can post it onto the story site, so it's easily done. So you can also download it and share it on social media. And then, of course, when we see more of the play come into dsphere, we're actually inviting Garmin workers, even if they're not with us on dsphere, to post. So if any of you guys are in the industry, we're inviting you to be part of the stories. Come and post what your fashion story is, and let's have a conversation. Yeah. So on that note, Sheldon, do you want to say any last words before we end?
No, but thank you everyone for coming and asking such great questions.
Yeah. So once again, thank you, Sheldon, for your contribution. And also on behalf of Columbus Apparel Studio, who's our valued partner, to all our stakeholders, partners, ecosystem users, and our customers and potential customers online. Please know that we value you. We know you have a fashion story. Join us on dsphere platform. Share your fashion story and let us know how we can continue to be of service to humanity. On that note, thank you very much. We'll see you online, and know that this month is B Corp month and the theme is Behind the B. So as a certified B Corp on third time over, we will be making sure that our stories behind the scenes will be known and shared on the multiple platforms, including our own fashion platform called dsphere. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend. And we will see you hopefully in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.